Oh yeah, we've decoded Kelly's team and we found the key to her success.
Yes.
And you know, it's part Sunny for drafting. It's also part to Kelly when she got the team. She, you know, I think she played a little safe. She didn't want to draw people. I think she really didn't want to draw people to have them blow up on someone's rosters.
Yeah, especially when wasn't it like her second pick in the draft? Who was it? Some guy with a beard.
That was her second. That was like her 8th round pick or something.
But didn't Kelly tell Sunny, she's like, the number one thing I want you to do is for the first pick is to pick Fear the Beard.
Well, I think she really thought that we were going to be dicks and pick him and basically hold him for ransom. But, you know, she obviously sees that we weren't going to do that because he's been on the wire ever since she dropped him.
Yeah, but no one's even thought about picking him.
Yeah, so let's look at your team now.
Oh, the mighty has fallen.
Are you going to change your team name from Kelly's Bitch to something else?
I think because I'm going to be playing against Kelly, I need to keep it. Because since that name has come to my lovely team, I have won.
Okay. So let's start off at the top. You have Devin. Well, is Devin Mesoraco or Evan Gassier? Like, if you had to lock down a lineup for a week, who would you have?
Mesoraco. I would have Mesoraco.
See, I think that she has the edge in terms of McCann, because McCann's got the experience. Mesoraco has that huge power, but he can strike out, and it seems like he doesn't play every day, and he can kind of have an injury history.
Well, the good thing is, though, is that I've now gone into the system where I know when Cincinnati's going to sit Mesoraco and when Atlanta's going to sit Gaddis, so I'm able now to just predict when that's going to happen. So
Sure. So then you have Freddie Freeman up first, who he's pretty good. He's one of those players that, you know, I thought he would be elite. He's still really good, but he's not like one of the top 3 first base. He's in the top 5.
He has potential. There's a reason why he got that huge ass contract at the beginning of the year.
He's young. He's got potential. Fonte, that was a good pickup for you because after you traded Cano to me, you really needed a second baseman.
And that was a guy who I actually drafted this year.
Oh wow, you're right.
Yeah, I picked him up in the 237th pick.
So yeah, he's been playing pretty well in the Royals. You know, I got
the Royals are on fire. Like everyone's playing above their potential.
I think that they were undervalued coming into the year.
Oh, of course. But do you remember last year what I said? I said the Kansas City Royals are going to be good and be a playoff team.
Didn't you make a bet with Sonny, and then I don't know if you guys had to put down any money?
I doubt we did. Because you know how good I am at paying things off.
Yes.
And so I remember last year being like, hey, watch out for Kansas City. Everyone's like, fuck you, dude. You don't know what you're fucking talking about. Well, look who's talking now.
David, a year later, I could say like, oh, you know what, David? The Marlins are going to be like a first-place team. And then like 30 years later, I'm going to call you up, David, and go, David, look, the Marlins are in first place. What now?
If I throw enough shit on the wall, something's going to stick eventually. And the thing did stick.
Okay, I'll give you that. Okay, moving on. So at third base, is Arenado your everyday third baseman?
Yes.
Well, even over Aramis Ramirez?
Aramis Ramirez has been more my utility guy.
I would say that you don't have like an everyday guy, but you have good options.
I have good, I have a good bench to fit things in.
Well, you know, Arenado, you're right. He's had a really good, last couple of weeks. He's got 2.7 average,
Yeah, that's nothing to, look down upon.
Yeah. So, obviously in Colorado, so he's going to hit. So then shortstop, you have J.G. Hardy, which,
I drafted him, and I kept him for all this time. And people are like, what the fuck you keep on keeping him? But he's actually done pretty decent last couple weeks.
I think that shortstop is a narrow position, and you could do worse. That's all I'm going to say.
But there's one thing we have to admit, that my team was never built on my starting lineup, my starting hitters.
Sure. I don't know what it is, but you had a pretty good luck of just finding people off the wire to play.
And just filling holes.
I like to use the analogy of, eventually a blind squirrel is going to find a nut. I think that's how it goes. Like, even a blind squirrel eventually will find a nut. Something like that.
And so I've found my nut, and my shit has hit the wall, and it has stuck.
Yes.
That's one thing that we know about me.
Okay. So Cespedes, left field, he's pretty good. He's kind of streaky. He kind of got the injury history.
But he's just been hitting the lights out of the ball since he's gone to Boston.
Really?
Yeah, take a look.
Let's look. Last 15, how has he done? 2.9, not bad, but not like elite. Like, oh my god, like this guy.
Hey,
is
just because he doesn't have a 3 but a 2.9, I'm sorry.
So center field, you have Pagan, but Pagan, he's not been playing.
No,
But
Pagan.
you have options with Crisp and Puig to play at center.
Yes. See, that's one thing about my team. I can plug holes whenever.
Yeah, it's a valuable thing to have. But sometimes it's nice to have that kind of elite center fielder. But
Or to have that lineup that can actually stick.
yes. So then you have Puig. Puig's very streaky at right field. And 2.7 average.
Not really hitting the home runs this year.
Yeah. He was really hot early in the year, and then he's kind of cooled off since then. Then you got Crisp at DH, who, when healthy, he's one of the better DHs in the league. 2.6, he was up to like 3 average earlier. So if he's healthy and he gets in a groove, he can be a really good player. And then you really don't have a set utility. You're really kind of
I just
fluid.
flip-flop it in.
Kelly is more of a static lineup, like kind of an everyday lineup. And I have to say, based on that, I think Kelly has a better lineup. Just based on
I would definitely agree with that. So now let's get.
Did you hear that, Kelly? David and I both are in agreement that you have a better lineup.
And so right before,
But that doesn't guarantee that you're going to win in that regard, because it always comes down to is who has the better lineup that week, because it can always change.
And the great thing about the playoffs is 2 weeks. So the better lineup usually is going to win.
Yes, I agree.
And so now we get into my team that I built upon, the foundation, if you will.
So yeah, just to give the listeners kind of a back check. Like David auto-drafted his team, and he didn't have any really good pitchers last year, and I drafted heavily with pitching, and I won with pitching. And David told me, he was like, oh, I look at your pitching, and I wanted your pitching really badly. So in the offseason, he essentially traded hitting for pitching, giving me Bryce Harper and Miggy, and getting in return Steven Strasburg, Felix Hernandez, and David Price. And that's really what his team's been going on, and that's really what carried him early in the season. Now, some of his pitchers like Strasburg are kind of, lacking.
Faltering. But they still have those games where you're just like, okay, there's the old Strasburg. And now, one thing I don't like about Strasburg is that he can't go past 7 innings.
That's the thing that always worried me, is that he seems like better in maybe a rotisserie league where, you need that strikeouts. But really in a points league, he's kind of an average pitcher.
Yeah, that's one thing I've been figuring out. So most likely he's going to be not a keeper this year.
Yeah.
Just to let you know.
You really need a good pitcher in points. You really got to have a guy who eats up innings. And Ks are always a plus, but you can't rely upon them, because someone like Strasburg gets those kegs. They take a lot of pitches out of his arm.
Mm-hmm.
So yeah, David has David Price, Felix Hernandez, Steven Strasburg, and James Stills, and those are kind of all great pitchers. And then he's got Zach Wheeler, who's kind of that flex guy.
Yep, but there's one thing that you guys should notice is that who do I have on my DL who's coming back possibly in next week? And that is none other than the person that everyone thought that was a terrible move for me to go pick up so early in the draft, but none other than Tanaka. And he's going to be coming back, and if he comes back and he's as good as what he was before, my pitching lineup is so much more scary.
He's definitely an X factor, but you can't say like, oh, I'm going to beat Kelly because he doesn't come back and he's going to be the Tanaka before he got injured. Mm-hmm. There's no way you can accept it. You just got to be happy with anything he gives you.
Oh yes, and if he gives me that sinker where it just goes into the ground and everyone swings every single time, I'm going to be a one happy guy.
Yeah, so I think that with starting rotation, I think that they're kind of even. I think that top 3, she has better pitchers, but given that you have Shields and you have Tanaka potentially coming back, I think that it's more an even playing field.
Mm-hmm. And we're definitely say that Kelly's biggest upside on me is that she has a lineup that can just stay consistent.
Going to your bullpen, you got K-Rod, Kenley Jansen, and as your closers, and then you have 2 relief guys. Tyler Clipper and Joe Smith, some of the better relievers in the game. So, setup guys, that is.
It was funny, though. Like, this year, I built my team on my starting pitching and on my closers. Mm-hmm. And you kind of taught me, dude, trade your closers for some better players. And that's what I've kind of been doing.
Yeah, because the closer kind of devalued with these setup guys, and you can sometimes get more points.
Yeah.
It's all just, how you value talent.
Mm-hmm. And so the one great thing I think by me living with Matt is I've learned how to manage my team, and I've kind of been his Padawan and he's been my Jedi master.
Yeah, so I'm going to give an exclusive